The darkness of the night soon painted the sky. During the afternoon, Obanai and I took our time to walk around the village, and now I'm sure we both have an imaginary map of the village in our mind. We decided to take rest in a local tea shop, in which indoor seating. We found a table at the corner to avoid being noticed, before taking out our plans for the evening. There are two aims that we both agreed on. The demon must die, and absolutely none of the villagers will be injured. Hopefully speaking, these are quite positive to achieve. Any demon would kill a Hashira, since killing a Hashira will get them the highest praise from the demon lord, Kibutsuji Muzan. Therefore, whenever a Hashira shows up, we would automatically become the top priority to kill, let alone when there are two. Okay, I think we should split up. I announced my plan, and started explaining my idea upon Obanai's confused expression. Because during night the villagers would lock their doors due to the fear of demons, which subconsciously creates a perfect area for the demon to attack since it's a closed space. They have nowhere to run to, but if we split up, we can cover more area. The serpent Hashira stayed silent as he hesitates, but it would be more dangerous for us individually. He said, looking into my eyes, "The Sayori village is not particularly large. I'm sure it won't take us long to find each other, if anything," I stated, thinking for any possible risks. Obanai returned to a silent state, as if debating hard about his decision. The reason why he wanted to work together is simply because he would be with her to make sure she's safe. But he knows, in a mission, he can't let his personal feelings take control. After a few minutes or so, he decided to go for a rational decision, to work separately. "Fine, just stay safe." Obanai softly agreed, although he did not suppress his worry. "Of course," I reply, trying hard to sound indifferent to normal. This is difficult. Even though he made it crystal clear that he has no feelings towards me, the way he acts, it already seems to be telling me otherwise. The way he cares for me still gives me butterflies. "All right, night has come. Let's get started," I hurriedly said, shaking myself out of these thoughts before it gets any deeper than necessary. As soon as we left the shop, we headed left, while I was going for right, continuing with the plan. In order to see better, I jumped onto the roof when I was at an alleyway with no one there. Now it's just a case of whether we find the demon first, or rather, way around. It's pretty late in the night. Nearly all the villagers already went home due to the fear of demon attacks. According to what we heard, the demon had already caused 3 incidents within the area, apart from a few who's probably on their way home. It is surprisingly calm around the village, although I have no one of best ability. I can't sense the sense of the demon. Since Obanai and I split up, I covered the south side of the village, whereas he is taking care of the north side of the village, separated by the village center. Will the demon be at Obanai's side? Is he okay? For some reason, my personal emotions is making me regret my decision about separating. Shaking the thought out of my mind, I continue to patrol my indicated area, watching out for any abnormal events. As I landed on another rooftop, a sharp scream caught my attention. Looking back immediately, my hand subconsciously tightened around my katana. Without overthinking, I started to sprint towards the scream. While I was sprinting, I took note of the scent around me. I can clearly feel the scent of a demon becoming stronger the more I ran. I ran towards it. The faster I ran upon the thought, it finally revealed itself. I'm not letting this chance go. Now I'm hoping Obanai could sense the presence of the demon and could be assisted too. At the end of the day, 2 versus 1 is easier than 1 versus 1. At the same time, my heartbeat returned to normal as I knew that Obanai is safe. The demon is here, with me. He should have no worries and no threats. No longer later, I see a girl, her face washed with tears as she is pulled off the ground as the demon is holding her up by the neck. Breath of the frost, first form, roaring frost. I pulled out my katana as I jumped off the roof, aiming for the demon, cutting off its arm. The demon retreated a few steps due to the unexpected force, while I shielded the girl from behind. Pointing the sword towards the demon, I watched his arm regenerate. He stared into my mask. I looked straight into his green eyes. Upper Moon 4. Oh my, Ahashira. What a real meal, the demon said, licking his lips as his eyes hinted hunger. In your dreams. Holding back my disgust, I sneered. But the upper moon 4 only narrowed his eyes at me before suddenly bursting into laughter. You are the Frost Hashira, the one who is cursed, huh? My grip on my katana tightened unconditionally as my other hand curled into a fist out of annoyance. Get ready to die. Having had enough of his absurd speech, I didn't give him any more chance to continue further. Breath of the Frost, third form, colorless execution. I drew my katana and performed an attack which enclosed the distance between us as my sword reaching for his flesh. At the same time, I questioned how easy it's been so far. It can't be this simple, can it? It's upper moon 4 we're talking about here. Just then, I sensed something coming up from the ground. A sharp thorn suddenly spiked out of the distance left between the two of us. With my absence's reaction, I jumped back into the air. Moments after, numerous thorns spiked up from the ground. If it was a second too late, I would have been dead meat. I landed away from the thorns, sliding back a little due to the force. A slight pain in my arm caught my attention. I looked to see that my right arm had been scratched by one of the thorns. It's not hurting much, but I'll be fine. However, that came off very differently for the demon. My God, it's been a long time since I met such addicting blood. Even the Sayori village can't compare. His light green eyes started to burn brighter due to the excitement. The little girl behind me tugged at my shirt as she stood beside me. No, stay back, I shouted, not wanting her to be hurt. The second I was distracted, the thorn popped out and nowhere, stabbing out of direction. Thrust of breath, first form, striking frost. I slashed that thorn and killed it before it could reach either of us. The girl seemed to realize how serious the situation is as she stepped back to hide behind one of the trees. Breath of frost, fifth form, tornadoes of hoarfrost. As many toxic tornadoes appeared from my katana as they helped me to temporarily become invisible so I can get close and attack him. I disappeared within a range away from him, reappearing behind him. Just as I was about to stab through his neck, something else pierced through my shoulder again. The burning pain sent around my body was almost unbearable as I quickly jumped away from him yet again. I used my katana to cut off his thorn and pull it out of the rest from my shoulder despite the pain, blood pouring out of my shoulder as soon as the thorn was removed, staining my uniform. I bit my lower lip due to the killing sensation, pressing my hand onto my shoulder in an attempt to stop the bleeding, but it doesn't seem to work as expected. Glancing back at him, his lips lift into a smirk as he watches me suffer. That's why you never use those disappearing stuff when you are bleeding. You have no idea how easy it is for me to locate you. That's when it hit me. I was bleeding a little from the previous cut. Shit, I should have been more careful. Cursing under my breath, I could feel my shoulder feeling heavier. On the other half, I am surprised that Obanai still hasn't shown up from the amount of conflict right now, especially when I'm bleeding so much. Blood has a strong scent that travels very far. If he is not here, I must end the fight fast before my energy runs out. Breath of frost, sixth form, rain of icicles. I sprinted in an enhanced speed as I quickly reached his side, slicing his skin all over before I finally aimed for his neck, the weakest part of the demon. However, he seemed to predict my next move as he used one of his arms to forcefully cover his neck, making me slicing his arm off instead of his head. Before I could redo another attack, he turned around to face my body, which is still in the middle of the air. I gritted my teeth knowing that I have absolutely no control over my body right now to dodge whatever he is planning to do. Upper Moon 4 kicked me hard in the stomach, causing me to fly backwards and land on my back, hitting the same tree that the girl was hiding behind. I felt liquid running up to my throat. Blood runs down the corner of my lips, yet I can barely have the energy to stand back up on my feet. The Upper Moon 4 comes closer, step by step. He stopped only a few meters away from me. Is this the strength of the Frost Hashira? How sympathetic. He laughed out. Maybe you should consider becoming a demon. I'll make sure it will make you stronger and more of a fighter, don't you think? He gives me a dirty offer which I cannot emphasize how much I hate. I try to move my body, but it says otherwise. Sure, some of my bones are broken for sure. Let's see what you're hiding behind that tiny mask of yours. If the look pleases me, then I might consider to let you live longer." The demon smirked as his hand reached out for my mask. I gripped tighter on my katana and his arms closer. Breath of Frost, first form. Roaring Frost. I sliced his arm off, leaving him in shock. Using his reaction time, I pushed my heavily injured body up. I see, you little bitch. I will kill you right here, right now." The upper moon shouted at me as he charged at me. Blood demon art, death nurture. Thorns appeared around him as he came straight at me. I held up my katana ready to defend. If I can't run away from his thorns fast enough, then I can destroy it. Preparing myself for another slash, I start to concentrate on my breathing. But before I can even perform an attack, someone else appears before me. Breath of the Serpent, first form. Winding Serpent Slash.